Well, wasn't that magical, Joey?
It was very much so.
Welcome, everyone, for joining us for another college football kind of realignment rumor mill discussion so far.
Mhm.
We've kind of been out for a few weeks. We've been taking a little bit of hiatus, and just more and more crap keeps coming out on this stuff. So, figure we do a little bit of discussion, kind of honestly rumors. Where me as a 12 homer, really want to hope for the best and kind of Big 10 homer,
Exactly.
bring me down to earth.
Exactly. You got to hope for the best when you're sitting there just hemorrhaging schools left and right.
Just looking at tweets nonstop, going, "I hope this happens. Nothing's going to be official and all that." But we'll get that in a couple seconds. I mean, Joey, real quick, you want to get our socials out there?
Yeah, I'm posting right now on Twitter, and then you can also find us on Instagram. They're the same at Heartland Pulse, and then on Facebook and YouTube, just search Pulse at the Heartland. You'll be able to find us there, guys.
Perfect, excellent. Well, I would say you know the drill. What's next? What are you drinking over there, dude?
So I am Texarkana. I'm in Texarkana, Arkansas. On my way back from Beaumont, Texas. Staying at a Holiday Inn. These actually have a bar in-house, so it's kind of nice. But I've got a little to-go cup of some Goose Island IPA.
You
had
have
a
a
couple of
styrofoam cup. I thought that was purple drink there, Joey.
scissor. Call me Lil Wayne. But no, this is just Goose Island IPA, one of my favorite IPAs out there. I'm glad they had it on tap. But I got a pizza, a couple beers, and then Caleb started doing some podcasting, man.
Pizza, beer. You really can't do much better than that, dude.
Man, I haven't had carbs in probably since before Maisie's birthday party. So it's been a while. So I'm overloading. If I have like a gluten allergy tonight, I may die. So it'll be fun.
Well, rip Joey. The
Worth
last thing
it.
you'll do is make a memorable podcast. How about that?
Exactly. Worth it, man. I'm
go.
pumped. I'm pumped. We're gonna be back tonight. You and I will probably UFC 279s next weekend with Amanda Nunez and Juliana Pena. So we'll get together and we'll get with Trent and see if we can do another UFC podcast. I know the boys are probably working on another golf one. And then our big comeback for season 2 will be coming up in August. Big football pods with college football and NFL coming out. So we'll do rankings, predictions, all that kind of stuff sometime in August for you guys.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yep. How about you, man? What are you sipping on?
Well, I got a. It's actually back pocket here. It's called That's Tight. I figured that was about the most appropriate one that I could find in my fridge when we were talking about the Big 12 possibly expanding and making more money and being the solid number 3, I guess, now in college football, since everyone else seems to be collapsing. So, but
well, that's tight.
Well, yeah, that is very tight for the Big 12 status, but I guess, well, hell, let's just jump right into it then. So,
Yeah,
we got the new commissioner from Rock Nation, Yormark. Now, this is from a couple weeks ago from the Big 12 Media Day, but I mean, I think right now in college football, as much as a year ago, I was bitching about, this is supposed to be amateurs and we don't want business, we don't want anything, the NIL, all that money shit. At this point, fuck it, it's here to stay. We need to have a commissioner that has that business mindset, and that's what he said. He's open for business. He wants to, no stone left unturned, and find any way for for us to be, I think, a true player in the future. Big, I guess not Big 12. Sorry, college football landscape there.
Yep, and I've only heard good things about this Brett Yormark. I think he's going to be good. He's got a brother too, Michael Yormark, yeah, and they're both like huge business guys that get shit done. So I think you're in good hands as far as the Big 12 goes. You just need to get teams because they're just leaving left and right.
Yeah, I would say with Texas and Oklahoma, I think, ironically, I mean, it's never going to be great that two teams leave and really handicapped us early on. But I mean, I would say considering that it happened last year, we kind of we poached the teams that we kind of needed in the right, really in the right areas. I mean, it kind of was convenient. Now we're looking at the Pac-12 a year later, USC, UCLA leaving, and all of a sudden they're going, oh, fuck, we don't have BYU to pick from. Now they're kind of, similar. Their AAC is the Mountain West. So, I mean, they're starting to do that, and, we really kind of hit it at the right time.
So it's weird because I was saying, you're losing teams left and right. so much has happened lately that I almost forgot about exactly what happened a year ago when you picked up, Cincinnati and them. So it's
Yeah.
it's almost like that is not even in my mind anymore. The Big 12 actually did expand, and then they only lost 2 teams. So, hopefully with this Pac-12 collapse with UCLA and USC moving, maybe you guys pick up like say a Colorado, Utah type thing. Now that for sure we'll dive into this more, but now that there is for sure not going to be a not collusion, but they're not going to join together. So, if you want to dive into that, I know you put all these notes together, so I'll let you.
Yeah, no, I'll say we've been off for a couple weeks and I've been basically running my opinions, bouncing it off the walls over here. Anyone that would listen, but I mean that really is the big rumor is now they're the ones that got hemorrhaged from their not even their 2 main brands, 2 big brands out of there. They still got Washington and Oregon that they seem to be trying to hold it together. But I mean, now it's kind of every man for himself, and the rumor right now, and just geographically it makes sense, and prior history with one of them. There's rumors of Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. Those have been the 4 that have really been rumored to come. That have been rumored that we're trying to invite and get into. Everything that we're talking about now is get into the market. Why did the Big Ten take those 2 teams? Los Angeles. Now we're trying to bring in. Los Angeles, I think, is the number 2 TV market. We're going to bring in if we got Colorado or an Arizona school, or Utah, Denver, Salt Lake, Phoenix. They're probably 20s to 30s. They're not a big market, but if anything, it kind of expands us into that Western time zone, Pacific time, and get us into those late night games too.
Exactly. So there's that, and then I was listening to a podcast, the Paul Feinbaum show, right before we jumped on, and there was a guy on there talking about, hey, Paul.
What about Bama, Paul?
Go Bama, Paul. God, those are some of my favorite ESPN commercials. That would be the number one reason I would even listen to ESPN anymore. But I was listening to that show, and they were talking about why USC and UCLA would leave, because they're in such a big market. And, there is TV sharing. The next Big Ten TV contract, the Big Ten network, is going to be over $100 million per school per year.
Yep, I heard rumors at least 80 to 90, but upwards of 100.
I guess as soon as USC and UCLA jumped into the Big Ten, Apple jumped back into the bidding and instantly put in a bid of like $1.3 billion. That is insane money. So they'd be making $68 million more a year by joining the Big Ten than they would have in the Pac-12. That's crazy money.
And UCLA, the big rumor is they're $100 million in the red. They're in the deficit. So, I would say they've been hemorrhaging money, paying all these coaches that have been leaving, and every other. I mean, they got a full program of all these sports too. Iowa State got baseball. UCLA has everything. So, I mean, exactly. It's going to be interesting with all this new TV money as well, because we're going to talk about media rights a little bit later. It's going to be interesting to see how much that money is going to affect, Iowa State. Can we pick up more women's sports, and can we pick up baseball again? Can we compete at a Big 12 level now in all sports?
Yeah, and you would think so, especially, I mean, I know some of us don't like NIL, and some of us think that, all of us know that there needs to be regulations on that and stuff. But if you're not going to be responsible for putting scholarships out there and players are going to pay their own way because they're making money via sponsorship and shit, all of that money is going to the school. So why would you not add more sports and more teams and stuff like that? I mean, it makes no sense why Iowa State wouldn't get a baseball team and then also another women's sport, because, Title IX, they got to make it equal. So.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I would say going back to like the actual alignment with these 4 schools here. I don't know. I'm just, I've heard, I guess, really the 2 heavy favorites, because there's been a lot of kickback with Utah. They don't. I don't know. They came from Mountain West, and now they don't want to join the Big 12. It sounds like they're really kind of kicking back on that. It sounds like the big ones that are kind of heavily considering. Colorado wants to come crawling back. And then Arizona is going to be is the other big one that they're considering getting formal or sending formal invites to, or I'm sorry, formal applications to the Big 12. So I don't know. And again, that's kind of the fun thing about this, and kind of the shitty thing is nothing with your mark, he doesn't officially start with the Big 12 until August 1st. So nothing's
Mhm.
going to be official. I mean, this is where for the next 2 weeks I'm going to be pulling my hair out because everything is a rumor. Everything is maybe possibly gossip. But I would
Right.
say from inside sources we've been watching on Twitter and kind of reading in, and really everyone in the know, it sounds like I mean, again, the big thing that's dictating this isn't geography anymore, isn't traditions. It's these TV deals, and it sounds like ESPN, they kind of hamstringed the Texas and Oklahoma moving over. I would say it
Mhm.
sounds like with knowing that the move of USC, UCLA, everyone's kind of holding out on the money. They're lowballing the Pac-12 right now. They've been talking about redoing their contracts. They've been really you know, I haven't seen anything that really, I guess, makes me think that they're going to survive. And I'm probably
Right.
watching a lot of pro Big 12 talks, as well. Everyone that's kind of wishing that to come true. But
Mhm.
one thing, and I want this from an outside Big 12 perspective. It seems like to
Mhm.
me, last year when Texas and Oklahoma left, everyone goes, "All right, little brothers of the Midwest, good luck, have fun in the Mountain West," and everyone was kind of cheering on, that or like the AAC was going to gobble us up, and then there's going to be a 20-team mega conference of all these, substandard
Mhm.
teams. And then now a year later, same thing's happening to the Pac-12, and everyone's going for the sanctity of college football. We got to save them, and it's I don't know. I just hate the hypocrisy from year to year where it's the exact same situation. The top or two of the top brands leave a conference, really hinder the teams have 10 left, the exact same. And with this one, we have to save. We have to save the Pac-12 where there's 5,000 people in the stands compared to the Midwest where, Jack Trice is packed to the gills of, 60,000
Mhm.
people every game where, all these schools, I mean, Texas Tech is growing. They're putting up a new 200 or they're putting $200 million into their facilities. I mean, these people actually love and
Right.
go to these football games. Pac-12, they'd rather be on the beach.
Yeah. And I mean, Kansas is about the only school in the Midwest where they don't sell out almost every game, but then they do that for basketball. So that's the other thing to touch with, like the UCLA, USC. Like
Mhm.
watching UCLA play Indiana and Michigan State in basketball is going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of this reminds me of a big game of Monopoly. And bear with me on this analogy for a second, because
Mhm.
you've got normally when you play Monopoly, you got you got 4 to 6 players, and the first two usually go out right away because they don't know how to spend their money and they just don't even make it around the thing. Then you got the two top guys that are getting all the blues and greens and the reds and yellows, and they're just waiting for people to land on it. And then you got
Mhm.
that one guy that's got all the blue or all the browns, all the purples, all the railroads, and all the utilities. And he's just picking up every little scrap that he can. So
Mhm.
for me, you got the Big Ten and the SEC are the guys with the blues and greens and the reds and yellows. And then you got the Big 12 right now that's that guy picking up all the railroads and the utilities. And, he's going to have all of those teams there. And they're just going to, their market's just going to grow and grow and grow. And just like Monopoly, you have, more chances of people landing. You're going to have more chances to have eyes on your product. Your
Mhm.
conference is going to grow bigger. You can have a centralized location. I'm assuming it's always going to be in Kansas City. It'd be stupid not to. That's a huge market for them, and it's a
Mhm.
central location, even if they do expand west and farther east.
Mhm.
But yeah, the Big 12, I think, with grabbing all these schools and bringing more things in, I think they're in a great situation. I hope so anyway, because I love the rivalry with Iowa State, Iowa, that type of stuff. And I
Mhm.
just love seeing Iowa State compete and other schools down in Texas and stuff and Oklahoma State, that all those schools, I love seeing them compete with the bigger schools. So for me, I hope that as they keep grabbing schools and growing, that their TV deals and stuff can grow just like the Big Ten's does.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would say I think Big 12's more of like the oranges. When you go to jail, you can land there a little more
Yeah.
often. I think we're pushing the reds in your Monopoly analogy, Joey. We're not
Okay.
quite the blues and dark blues and greens we're not boardwalk quite yet, but
Right.
we're getting there. We're close to free
Well,
parking too.
I
So,
haven't beat you in Monopoly yet, so I'll take your analogy, I guess.
oh God. So, but no, honestly, I don't know. I really hope we could if Big 12 is really going to truly compete, because right now ACC with the grant of rights, they're not going to be able to get. it sounds like that's really hamstringing them. They have a terrible TV deal. Larry Scott
Hmm.
in the Pac-12, he really again handicapped them and ran them into the ground. And
Yep.
now, hopefully we're in the right position. And again, like your mark and even the Baylor AD said is right now you have to be acting aggressive if you want to compete, and that's what we're doing. So I don't
Hmm.
know if he has some insider information. I mean, being Baylor AD, I'd hope so, but I don't know. It's kind of good hearing that we're the ones that are fighting back, trying to get these teams, and if we can be the next 16 teams and we can pick up, Arizona, their football wasn't quite there last year, but they have they very solid basketball team. Arizona State has
Hmm.
solid football. Colorado has the past. Utah very clearly has a solid football. I think they'd be solid additions as well as good travel partners for Texas Tech and BYU, kind of farther out in that western western portion of what would have been the conference at that point.
Right. For me, the big thing to wrap around my head, especially with USC, UCLA already in the Big Ten, and whoever the Big 12 gets out of that Pacific time zone, you're gonna have teams like Rutgers, West Virginia, people in the Eastern time zone watching stuff that's 3 hours later than everyone else. I mean,
Hmm.
the fans on both sides, both coasts are gonna have to get used to that right away. But that being said, I mean, I do travel a lot for work and stuff, and all of those Arizona areas that we're looking at, the Denver areas, they are growing metropolises. I mean, they're big areas that everything is growing. People are buying into the jobs and stuff that are there, so that fan base is just going to keep growing and growing and growing everywhere they go.
Yeah. Well, I would say I'm hoping, and again, hopefully they do keep expanding there. But I would say we'll kind of just because we don't want to, just harp on. I could talk Big 12 all day, but I know that sure as
Yep.
hell is not what you want to talk about. I mean,
No, that's
honestly,
fine. It's the number one thing going on right now, so I'm a okay with
Mhm.
talking more Big 12 stuff. But I do think we need to touch on that one wild card out of the out of the Pac-12.
Oh, which is that?
That's the Stanford, maybe considering going independent instead of actually joining a league.
Yeah, I would say that has kind of been. I mean, it kind of sound from what I've been reading and everything else. And again, they are the biggest brands left, and they are very big national brands. Like
Hmm.
until you actually look at the money, I would have never thought growing up like Washington. Yes, they made their one playoff appearance, which is much
Hmm.
more than Iowa State, obviously. But they had their one appearance, and then they didn't have the greatest year last year. And then Oregon is always everyone thinks Nike Phil Knight. But it
Hmm.
sounds like they're trying to hold that conference together, and I mean, realistically, I didn't say sorry. We'll get to Stanford real quick, but I mean,
That's
I
fine.
think they're trying to hold them together because they don't want Stanford to go independent because now they're going from 10 to 9, and all of a sudden, if
Right.
if they're going to 9, what makes those four corner schools that we're talking about all of a sudden? Why don't they leave? And then you're down to
Hmm.
5, and then it's even potentially. I've heard rumors. Not only with Stanford. Going independent, it sounds like Cal might even have to drop football if they don't stay in the Pac-12 and can have that type of I guess the type of revenue. Even the Pac-12 is lower in the annual money they're getting, but I mean it better than the Mountain
Hmm.
West and what you're going to get in other conferences too.
Right. And then as you touched on Colorado, I mean they've already been part of the Big 12 once before, so it's not like
Hmm.
they, have any reason not to go back. I mean, to me Colorado always fit better with the Midwest schools anyway. But then with the Cal stuff, it sounds like the reports that the governor might mandate that UCLA has to share part of their Big Ten revenue with those schools. So I'm sure
Hmm.
Cal is just sitting there like, yes, Big Ten, get all the goddamn money you can so that we get some of it. But yeah, I would not be surprised if Cal just completely cut football because even though they had Aaron Rodgers and Marshawn Lynch, like who else have they had? Who else have they had? And when was the last time they were even relevant? To be honest with you.
Hmm. I see. I heard that rumor as well. We kind of talked about it beforehand. I really don't know how they would force that. I don't know if they're like sister schools. I really don't get that one. But I mean, I think they're just kind of scraping anything at this point. They want
Yeah.
to. I understand. We were in that exact same situation last year. And again, I'm glad the Big 12 was
Mhm.
aggressive, and it sounds like the Pac-12 they're going to have to get aggressive as well. I would say the heavy rumor right now is that we've been hearing is San Diego State and Fresno State are right now they're going to try and swallow. They're trying to get geographical teams. Well, right now Iowa State last year took the biggest free agent last year with BYU that's in their traveling area. Those are two that are heavily rumored right now joining the Big 12. Let me see what was the list here. Boise State for football only. San Diego State. We said
Yep.
UNLV. They talked about SMU potentially. New Mexico. Fresno State. We mentioned Air Force was an interesting one. I would never think an academy, joining,
Right.
but I mean a military. But I would say they could. And they even talked about Gonzaga for basketball only to get that market, which. Yeah, I don't know if Gonzaga doesn't want to. I mean, they don't get to play Pepperdine twice a year if they join the Pac-12. So I don't know if they don't. They want to have that easy way to the Elite Eight before they lose here.
Yeah, but I mean, if you take UCLA and USC out of there, and then say Arizona State bolt for the Big 12, like who does Gonzaga have that's any harder than Pepperdine in the Pac-12 anymore? To be honest with you, I mean, Oregon hasn't been shit, neither is Stanford in a while or Washington. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and really the rumors that I've been hearing as well with the Pac-12, and again, those are the two head honcho brands. And for me, as watching this a decade ago with the Big 12 and last year at the Big 12 too, but specifically a decade ago, Texas and Oklahoma were flexing their muscle. Maybe we'll go to the SEC. Maybe we'll go. Unless, instead of equal revenue sharing, we're going to do unequal. We get 1.5 shares, and everyone else, 8 people split the rest of the 7 ways. So
right,
I don't like it for the Pac-12 just because it seems like because you sure as hell know that Washington and Oregon, as soon as Big Ten just goes, we're not getting Notre Dame, we're not getting Stanford. You two come on in. They are going to leave them so fucking fast. It's going to be like in a cartoon. When they run so fast that the smoke is in the outline of where that would be Oregon and Washington. They were jetting out of there so fast, and more power to them. They got to hold the cards, the leverage that they have. But I don't know. It just reminiscent of 10 years ago, Texas and Oklahoma getting the extra payments to stay with the Big 12.
And I mean, I know Oregon and Washington have been more relevant lately than most of the other schools in that conference still, but they are not the biggest markets that are left, even after USC, UCLA. I mean, you would have to think that Phoenix and Denver would be bigger than anything that is in Eugene, or I guess Washington is in Seattle. Yes, so, yeah, I mean, that market's pretty big. But still, there's so many other things to do in Seattle. I doubt that they all focus on Washington football. I've been by that stadium. That stadium is amazing.
They got sailgating, Joey. Come on.
Yeah, but like when I was in Seattle, everyone talked about the Seahawks. No one talked about UW. So I don't know.
Russ Wilson.
I just don't think there's a fan base where. What's that?
I said Russell Wilson's down in Denver now. Now they're all back in on the Huskies.
Yeah, it's because the Huskies probably have a better quarterback than the Seahawks do. So.
Oh, come on. You're going to drag Drew Lock too now?
I mean, he's from Mizzou, so yeah, of course I am.
Well, yeah, exactly. There you go. That's the metric right there.
Yeah, so, I got all the press on Drew Lock while he was at Mizzou. So,
and you weren't impressed with all that press, huh?
I would take Nate Stanley and Spencer Petras over Drew Lock every day.
Jesus Christ! Iowa fans talking about good quarterbacking. You don't know what the fuck. We were talking about this the other day, just to veer off for a second. How did Kirk Ferentz have Brad Banks, who could run the ball a little bit, throw the ball, get second in the Heisman? He goes, "Oh my God, I got the formula. Fuck it, we're gonna go cookie cutter, 6'4", 220 quarterback, and we're not going to throw the ball either anymore."
Yep. And then the only guy that defies that and does his own thing and actually throws the ball and wins us a bowl game against LSU, and then he is the black sheep of the family, and no one likes Drew Tate. No one will hire him because he's a rogue. So yeah,
that might have been the last. Him and Ricky Stanzi are probably the last Iowa quarterbacks that I actually liked. But yeah, that
like
one.
CJ?
What's that?
CJ Beathard, the Golden Locks of Love.
No, nothing special about him. But
right.
well, I mean, for a Cyclone fan, not like I said, I don't know, Ricky Stanzi. Maybe it was just because I was younger too, and watching that. I mean, that was legitimately one of the best plays I've seen. The Iowa LSU.
Oh God, yeah.
Hail Mary there. Sorry, Ryan, for
take to
Iowa being
Holloway.
in the last play. Yeah,
Hmm.
Holloway. But well,
Yep.
fuck. While we're talking Big Ten, Iowa, might as well just go straight to it. They're done. From everything that we've heard, they're done with realignment. The only way that they would expand currently is just going to be is if Notre Dame if decides that all of a sudden they want to join, the Big Ten for whatever reason, and then
Hmm.
potentially if they join just because you'd have an odd number, not that you have to add people, the 16th team would be Stanford. So I
Right.
mean, I don't know.
So I honestly think
I
Notre
hope
Dame
Notre
is.
Dame doesn't join.
I mean, I've been hearing a lot of if these 2/3 super conferences like actually happen with the SEC, Big Ten, and potentially Big 12 just being huge, it would
Mhm.
have to be a playoff stipulation that you have to be in a conference in order to compete because they're going to
Yeah,
be so big that they're not going to be able to do out of conference. It'll be cross conference rivalries, but not out of conference games.
yeah.
So like Notre Dame and Stanford, and then BYU just play each other 4 times a year. So that makes no
Mhm.
sense. So yeah, I think Notre Dame's always been a Midwest school. I think it'd be smart for them to join the Big Ten. If nothing, even if they don't do that, the Big 12. But yeah, joining like the ACC or the SEC would just it'd be stupid. They just don't fit in those conferences, if you ask me. But
Mhm.
um, and Stanford, I think Stanford and Oregon State would be great additions to the Big Ten just because of wrestling. So I think that'd be
Oh,
cool too.
Jesus Christ. They're never going to make a decision because of wrestling, Joey.
I know, but I mean, if Stanford goes indie, but there's a reason that I mean, like if they have to have a stipulation that they have to be in a conference in order to make the playoffs, why wouldn't they join the Big Ten? I mean,
Yeah.
they'll join the SEC, and then wrestling joins the Big Ten as an offshoot. Like, I mean, the Big Ten's going to have the most money by far once that TV deal goes through because
I
ESPN and
think
Disney.
in the near future, Joey, since you're speaking of a nonprofit, Iowa and Big Ten might be the only schools that maybe turn a profit in wrestling.
Oh
But I
God,
would
yeah.
say I think that I think the future is going to be football is going to be different. It's going to be these mega
Yep.
conferences and lead to that, and then every other and maybe basketball, but every other
Mhm.
nonprofit one they're just going to be completely different. Maybe the old like geographical and just even though there's more money than ever before, it just feels like with wrestling, you're not
Mhm.
going to all of a sudden we're going to Provo to wrestle now. You're going to keep your and say like with Iowa State, you're going to keep your geographical. You can go to the same tournaments.
Mhm.
I think it's just going to be completely different.
Well, and that's fine with me because I'm tired of the NCAA being the governing body of any of the sports. I hate the
Mhm.
NCAA. I think that they are just basically bank robbers. They're just taking money from the schools and saying that they're governing. Well, the schools are making the fucking decisions anyway. So,
Mhm.
which is fine with me. So, and you could even, if you want to go full NIL, and all this shit, like the nonprofit things could just be club sports. And then that would also take away your Title IX stuff. You would just have these club sports, like wrestling would have the RTC type things, and then they could have their own national tournaments. Then they could even incorporate freestyle as another national tournament. So, I mean, you could get multiple sports out of one team. Then your women's wrestling could also have their own thing. So yeah, I'm all for every sport mostly having their own governing body. I know
Mhm.
that NCAA has been like the tradition and stuff, but I just think that the sports have outgrown that governing body, and it has for a while, I believe.
Mhm. I think it's going to get a little bit closer. Once this NIL gets settled down, and
Mhm.
again, they don't no the NCAA is ancient. I think it's going to get
Yep.
more into a collective bargaining. We're going to get away
Mhm.
a lot more from away from the amateur. We already are, but I would say I really I think at this point we are getting away from it. And also, if you would have said, Brian, I bet you $100 we're going to talk about women's wrestling, I would have said, no way we're going to bring up women's wrestling in this college realignment talk. But here's Joey bringing up
Yep.
how Oregon State should come to the
It's
Big Ten.
it's all the angles, man. You got to open all your eyes, see everything that's going on, and
Mm.
why Stanford and Oregon State should be in the Big Ten.
I mean,
Um,
if the Big Ten sent an invite to Oregon State, they're leaving this instant. They're going to leave that
oh
the
God, yeah.
Pac-12 in the dust. But that I'm going to tell you, Joy, that's never going to happen.
No, I don't. is it Corvallis that Oregon State's in? I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to go to Corvallis from the Big Ten anyway. So, no offense to Corvallis, I've never been there. I'm sure it's a nice town, but it's just
I don't think
so
anyone
far
in
away and
Corvallis
so
wants to go to
small.
Iowa City.
Yeah, there's that too, especially in the middle of November, December. So, yeah, we'll see what all shakes out with all this stuff. But I know you wanted to talk about all the media stuff. We can jump into that real quick.
I would say I just don't real quick. I just don't think like with all these like Pac-12 movement and stuff. I've read a couple articles and been keeping up because like the I guess probably the most experienced school from going from conference to conference right now and kind of being in the situation you see USC UCLA are in is West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, remember they used to
Right.
be even before the Big East. Oh God, I cannot remember the conference what it was called, but I mean, they used to have they used to have rivalries with Penn State, and then
Mm-hmm.
Penn State left for the Big Ten. Then they're in the Big East, and they had rivalries with Pitt, and they had all these and again geographical traditions, and then they left, and now like from the stories that we've read, in West Virginia, yeah, the first couple years that it's kind of like, oh, we get to go to Norman, we get to go to Austin, Texas. They're coming here. Oh, it's a big deal the first couple years, and then the
Right.
magic wears off. You're like, okay, we're and especially the last couple years, West Virginia hasn't had the greatest roster, but they're
Mm-hmm.
going great. Now we're gonna have Baker Mayfield come in and destroy us. Kill us by 40. Oh, we're now we have to travel to get our asses kicked. We're traveling 1,500 miles to Texas Tech, and who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're just the most experienced with that, and I think the first few years with USC UCLA joining the Big Ten, it is going to be the allure. Kinnick is going to be
Mm-hmm.
more packed than usual the first time USC comes to play.
Right.
The third time in maybe in 6 to 10 years, who gives a shit? They're coming into town.
Yep.
They're they might unless Lincoln Riley gets some turnaround, which I think he will. I think with the California recruiting and him already having Caleb Williams, and I think they're going to have a solid year this year because again it's Pac-12. And so I think he's going to get them back in the right place. So unless they're ranked, who in their right mind in Big Ten is going to go, God, we have to wake up for this November 11th meeting for UCLA at a 2 o'clock kickoff. No one gives a shit.
Exactly.
It's gonna be new. It's gonna be fun for a couple years, and then it's just gonna be especially for them. Great. The closest school to us is going to be Nebraska, and that's 1,500 miles. God forbid
Mm-hmm.
with the first time they have to go to Piscataway, or the first time they have to go to Happy Valley.
Or fucking Lincoln. Jesus. Gross.
Yeah, with all this has been the best offseason Lincoln could have had because that whole controversy of him leaving Oklahoma and the transfer portal and all that disappeared once all these rumor talks started. No one gives a shit about it.
No, I meant Lincoln, Nebraska, not Lincoln Riley.
Oh, Lincoln,
I said go fuck that when they have to go to Lincoln, Nebraska, and there's nothing for miles, fucking miles and miles and miles.
Yeah.
Just redneck idiots. Did I say that out loud? I did.
Yes.
Jesus.
Great.
And
We lost all of our listeners in Lincoln, Nebraska, but all right. Well, I would say, you mentioned media rights. We'll jump into it. So right now, again, and this is where the Big 12 is really starting to kind of, again, right place, right time with getting the benefit of kind of going through this last year. Now we have a solid 12 teams. Now we're coming up at the end of our media deal. And the first thing about this is Notre Dame, like you said, they want to join the big, or they want to stay independent. They're looking for with NBC trying to get about $75 million a year, and that's that sounds like a lot until all of a sudden you're considering that every Big Ten team is going to make 80 to 100 in their new deal. So who knows? This might even be just a low estimate, but what they're looking for, and again, Big 12 is getting lucky here, and I'm glad you mentioned earlier about Apple's looking to try and get into streaming. Amazon's already into streaming. NBC, which is who we're going to talk about, ESPN, Fox. We're looking at a lot of streaming services that are trying to get programming. They're trying to fill it out. That's why every wrestling match now that Iowa State's on is on ESPN Plus. With NBC, they're looking for something to fill Peacock with. They're trying to put Peacock in your home. So I mean, they're looking to bring Big 12. The rumor is Big 12 as shoulder programming. Now, Notre Dame's still going to be the belle of the ball, but they want to have an Iowa State Cincinnati play before the primetime game of Notre Dame versus who gives a shit. USC,
Yep.
the big rivalry games that they're going to have. But from what I've heard, NBC is really pushing hard for that. CBS is another one that I've really been hearing because again they got Paramount, and again with the expansion that we potentially have with the Big 12, or I'm sorry, Pac-12 with trying to gut them with Colorado, Utah, the two Arizona schools. You're going to have your UCF that can kick off at 11 a.m. Eastern time as early, and then you got your Mountain West teams that can kick off at 9 o'clock. You got a full day of football. It's same thing.
Oh yeah.
That Big Ten's probably looking at as well. You got that Rutgers kickoff at 11 a.m. and then you got USC that can kick off at 9 o'clock at night, and you have a full day of football.
Yep. But I mean, if you think about it, with them joining the other conferences and stuff, especially for me being in the Midwest and everything, yeah, it was awesome watching like USC, Oregon sometimes late at night, or all every once in a while you get. I hate all the different streaming. Oh, okay. Every once in a while you get like a Stanford, Arizona game that's awesome or something like that. But now I'm actually going to want to pay attention to all of those late night games because it's going to be, USC versus Ohio State possibly at 9 o'clock at night type of thing, which will be awesome. And yeah, there'll be a lot of beers consumed. But yeah, full day of football for all of the conferences now, which is going to be cool.
Yeah. ESPN is going to really be pushing for, keeping SEC. Big Ten. It wouldn't shock me if it was just like Fox, Big Ten all day. You have your rabid fans that, like you said, you're going to open your first Busch Light at 11 a.m. watching Piscataway. You're going to open for you, Joey, 25th, 26th beer when they're kicking off in Los Angeles later that night. After after a few meats that you've smoked on the grill, probably at least one or two cheeses.
Yep.
They're looking for, everyone's looking for that programming. So again, a lot of it is Big 12 has put themselves in this position, and a lot of it's luck. We're running out on our contract. ACC signed again with all this uncertainty and the alliance. Do you remember that last year, Joey?
Yes.
The Big 10, Pac-12. But hey, we're going to be brothers, and nothing's ever going to change. Oh, Big 10 fucking scalped two big brands. Shit.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened with that either, because it was just more like, all right, well, this isn't actually working, so we'll just take two of them instead.
Yeah. If you want me to be pessimistic Big 12 fan, they're trying to kill college football just like they did right before COVID a couple years ago. But that's just an Iowa State bitter fan over here. That's just
not you.
Yeah.
Not you.
No, I definitely don't think how much Ohio State screwed everyone by them making the playoffs with only 6 games when everyone else had to play a full season. I don't think about that at all.
I mean, let's move on.
Speaking of fall off, how did Indiana fall off so bad last year? Are they going to be good this year, Joey? That's a very random question, but
I don't think they're going to have that run and gun offense that they always do, but I don't think they're going to be worth a shit as far as like win totals and stuff. But I mean, if you want to jump into that section, we can definitely do that because I got a lot of shit talking to be doing here. So
screw it. Nothing. Honestly, and again, those media talks again, nothing's proposed. Like I said, everyone's going to try and outbid each other. At this point, I hope it's a streaming service I have, or that's not too bad. And again, I want Iowa State to succeed, get as much money as we fucking can. I don't think we're going to make the Big Ten 100 million, 80 to 100 million. If we can get closer to that 55, 60 compared to where we are right now, and maybe even more, who knows? But I would say right now we don't have the big brands, but we're currently at least a stable conference that's going to be here at least for a minute.
Yeah, and do you think that the Big 12 will ever attract bigger brands to come back? I mean, Texas, Oklahoma obviously wants to go to the SEC, but do you think maybe if Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban keep yelling at each other, or maybe Mizzou will want to go to the Big 12 because they're getting tired of getting their ass kicked in the SEC? Do you think that they'll be, I guess Mizzou's probably not a bigger brand than Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas, that type of thing. But do you think
I know where you're going with it. I don't think so. I think, right now, I think they're just, again, like they've been doing for a decade, they're collecting their paycheck and they're just going, well, we might be the whipping horse, but we're not as bad as Vanderbilt. And, we're collecting that SEC money. That's really kind of the biggest thing. Money talks. I don't think there could ever be a big enough brand to move back over back over to the Big 12. If we're at 12, say no. I think the best shot we got, the biggest brands right now are the four that we talked about:
Mm-hmm.
Utah, Colorado, Arizona State. I think those are the most solid, biggest brands that can come back to us. I
Right.
think the only ones would be if Oregon, Washington see the writing on the wall. This is a sinking ship. They beg the Big Ten again for an invite and they don't get it. Those would be the two biggest brands left that I think we could get. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think like geographically. No one's leaving the Big Ten or SEC. No one would be stupid enough to leave that money.
I
Maybe
wish Nebraska would. Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Although I do like getting that win every year.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe like if ACC fall parts like Louisville, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone talks about the North Carolina brands. That's what again with the ACC, those are the next brands that are up for the SEC to poach. So I don't know. Maybe if the ACC implodes, and they don't get out of
Mhm.
that grant of land or grant of rights, that would be the best shot. But I don't think anyone would be stupid enough to leave the SEC or Big Ten and come to the Big 12 right now or ever.
Right. I could see say like Duke, North Carolina, like the big ACC basketball schools coming to the Big 12 because of Kansas, Iowa
Mhm.
State. Those are big schools that compete really well in basketball.
If
And
that if
I mean,
SEC wants them, they get them, bud. We won't have a
but I
shot.
mean, no, the SEC is going to get Clemson, FSU, Miami, those schools. But
Mm.
I mean, Duke and North Carolina and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech could probably go to the SEC because of football. But like those schools, I think would have enough power in themselves, and they could probably jump to the Big 12. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll
Yeah,
see if
that's
that conference collapses next year. Hopefully not. Like I said, I really don't
mm,
want to have three mega conferences. I'm feeling good that right now we're in the best position to not be screwed by our TV contract like ACC, and we're currently not imploding like the Pac-12. So
right. I will say that if one more conference, whether it be the ACC or the Big 12, because the Big 10 and the SEC just aren't going anywhere. There's just too much
mhm.
money there, too much power in those conferences. But if one of those other two conferences do implode, I can't see a world where there's more than two mega conferences and it's just split geographically east and west.
Yeah,
So
AFC, NFC, and NFL is how
basically,
we kind of. Yeah.
basically.
Well, I don't know. Well, again, and if more comes of it, we'll definitely have another pod to discuss it. But
Oh
I
God,
guess
yeah, God, yeah.
yeah, and say honestly, instead of everything imploding, let's kind of turn it a little positive or get some
Mm-hmm.
hype here going. Let's do some win over unders. We only got three of them here, just because no
Hell
other.
yeah,
Super excited there. There's
I
honestly,
am.
I figured we'll just keep it to our regional ones. When Ryan is on, we'll do LSU
Mm-hmm.
and Clark will do his famous Kansas schools out there. But
Yeah.
we'll start with Iowa. We've done enough Big 12 and all that other talk. Iowa current win total 7.5 for next year. The current favorite, I think it's like -136. Is that it's going to be
Mhm.
under 7.5. The
Yeah.
over is
Well,
like +160, I think.
yep. Well, those people are idiots because Iowa's definitely going to win. I have them at 9-3, 10-2, 10-2, possibly if they get past Wisconsin. First, I want to do a shout out. Two Hawkeyes that are going to be playing this year from our home school.
Yep.
Well, it's now Southeast Valley, but was Prairie Valley. Got Kyler Fisher and Aaron Graves. Kyler Fisher's number 37, Aaron Graves number 95. Redshirt
Mhm.
freshman, redshirt junior, I believe, with Kyler. So yeah,
Yep.
shout out to those guys. Hopefully, we see good things out of both of them, not just this year, but in the next few years to come. But yeah, as I mentioned, I have them. I'm going to pick Iowa at 9-3. If they beat Wisconsin, 10-2, have them losing to Michigan and Ohio State for sure. And Wisconsin's the one that's up there. Do I think that that's actually going to happen?
Yeah,
It,
you
it
have
can
me
definitely.
flabbergasted right now, Joey. 9-3 or 10-2.
Yep. I definitely think it's possible because their schedule is not that tough, but they they do have Northwestern, Purdue, Minnesota on there that every other year it's hit or miss whether those teams are going to try and or get the upset. Last year is
Yeah.
Purdue. Northwestern seems like every other year Anytime that Northwestern is at home for Iowa, they seem to upset us. So I think Iowa goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, 2, 5-2 in their first 7, with losses against Ohio State and Michigan, and then from there it's all games that they should win. Wisconsin being a toss-up, but I could see them losing all those as well. So that's
Okay.
the plight of being a Hawkeye fan.
I would say thank you for coming back to earth with this. I could also see us losing those games too. I would say I think I would say right now I obviously I got to be a homer. I think Iowa State's at least going to compete. That was the only game last year. I looked it up. 27-17. That was the only game Iowa State wasn't within one score last year. Really, we got to see because again, Iowa, all they have to do is hold you underneath 10 points and you win. But God forbid if an opponent scores 21 points, Iowa's probably losing. So if Hunter Decker, who's going to be Deckers is going to be the new quarterback for Iowa State, if he can make some noise and is kind of proven, when he plays, I mean, who knows, man? If he can get that offense going again, Iowa's defense is stellar, and you have 10 returning starters, right?
Yep.
Including that Moss. So I mean, you have solid starters, but I'm looking over here again. Sorry, yeah, San Diego State warm up game, Iowa State, Nevada, Rutgers, Michigan. But again, you're like Michigan and Ohio State for sure. We're gonna for sure losing. But then no offense, Joey, Illinois always trips you up. You got the Northwestern that, God forbid, if that one's an 11 a.m. kickoff. Christ, I was with you last year when you're having the meltdown after the David Bell Purdue game. I mean, honestly, man, I know you'll never admit it, but Nebraska doesn't have Adrian Martinez anymore. They don't have a guy that's going to turn the ball over
That's
3 to 4
true.
times.
That's
Again,
true.
It's all going to depend on your offense. I do still think it's over. I think Iowa gets to 8 wins. Honestly,
so you're
I
basically
don't know.
just saying that they lose to Wisconsin and Iowa State, but win the rest.
Lose to Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin
and Iowa State.
Iowa State or Purdue, one of those two. I'll say Iowa State just so I can keep my homer status here. How about
Purdue
that?
is the largest dark horse in the I've been seeing in the media stuff. So they're not going to be a bad team. Don't get me wrong, but Iowa's defense. I mean, they're returning Moss, they're returning Jack Campbell. They're returning too many good studs from that defense from last year that got them to the number 2 ranking. I mean, fucking Iowa put up like 7.8 points per game, other than the Iowa State game. So I mean, it's atrocious how bad that offense was, and they still got to the number 2 ranking in the nation. I mean, it's insane how good that defense was. Do I think that they can repeat that?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's going to take a lot of effort. I don't think it will happen. I think they'll be close, but man, that defense was so stellar last year.
Yeah. What a time to be alive when Iowa was number 2 in the country. Georgia and Iowa, we're talking about all defense all day. We're going to have a 7-3 national championship. And then David Bell.
Well, we had just started doing the podcast like 2 weeks before that. And I just remember you guys making fun of me because they're like, I've never heard someone be number 2 in the nation and be so sad about a game. And I'm like, yeah, because we are not a good team. Like, this is not good. Like, our offense is terrible. And I think that, I don't know. I hope the Ferences learned from the last year's mistakes and that they let the ball go some more, because I think Petrus can be awesome. But I also highly, highly doubt it. They're just too set in their ways. So, yeah, I'll stick with the 9 wins, possible 10 if they could beat Wisconsin. You still there?
Yeah, I don't know why the hell my computer went through a freezing session there. Thankfully, thank you for rambling there, but I don't. I don't know. I would say Wisconsin. And again, I know they got that Mertz back at quarterback. I'll have to read those preseason magazines, kind of get the lowdown before our next one, so I can start getting some of these names.
Fucking Mertz. I remember the first 2 weeks last year, they thought he was going to win the Heisman and just go crazy, and then all of a sudden,
then they lost to Notre Dame.
Yep, exactly. Yes, John, I agree. Northwestern is always a thorn in our side. We do play them at home, so it means that they will probably beat us by 4. So
I'm sorry, Iowa fan. I still remember. I swear to God, Iowa gets to 11, like on a true like the Kirk Ferentz once a decade double digit win. 11, 12 win season. They always get on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and then they always lose in a heartbreaking fashion the next week. Just don't put us on the cover anymore,
Oh my
please.
God. You've got me in such a funk now. I'm gonna have to go back down to the bar once we're done with
What?
this.
No, I would say that one was the loss to Northwestern. That was only because your quarterback got in there. I cannot remember which one it was though.
It was at home. God, who was it? Fuck.
It wasn't
Wasn't
Stanzi. It was Stanzi.
Was it Stanzi?
I'm pretty
I
sure
say
it
it
was
was either that or Nate. It was either that or Nate Stanley. One of the two.
Nate
Mr.
Stanley was
Foundy
like
Man.
2 years ago. That was well. That was also another. God, well, before we move on to the next one, just so we can keep talking about how bad Iowa quarterbacks are, Nate Stanley, watching him like 2 or 3 years ago when we were in Omaha, we were watching that Michigan game.
Mhm.
That was the worst quarterback play I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
I'm talking about all levels, middle school, high school. I watched that and my eyes were bleeding by the end of it.
Yeah, because his target was I can't even reach as high as his target was for every fucking throw. I don't know
Yeah.
how those amazing tight ends ever caught the ball, but just because they're amazingly awesome and studly. So just like every Iowa tight end. Shout out Sam Laporta.
You just need to like start recruiting 1 or 2 star basketball players, but they're like 6'8", and just put a helmet on them. Just go long. We played Army. Iowa State played Army about a decade ago, 12 years ago, and they had a 6'8" tight end, and they were on the 2-yard line, and they threw 4 posts in a row. All they did was throw and he caught the final one, fourth and goal. They threw it again, and he finally caught it. Just because it's like he's 6'8", just throw it super tall, and he'll catch it. So.
Yeah, Georgia had one of those a few years ago. I believe his last name was Gore, but yeah, he was the same way. He was like 6'7", 6'8", and then they would just toss it to him at the goal line. And I don't think he made a catch ever in the middle of the field. They only use him in the goal line. So
who's Atlanta's got that tall tight end, or maybe not anymore. Who was that?
Kyle Pitts is their tight end now.
No, like last year, 2 years ago.
I don't know. Hayden Hurst was the one they had before that, and then before that they had.
Your lack of Falcons fandom is showing, Joey. You should be able to know that.
Well, it's hard to care about a team when Julio Jones isn't on there anymore. So, speaking of which, I need to order a Kyle Pitts jersey tomorrow. I need to get that in.
There you go.
So,
I think they still have Deshaun Watson jerseys for $7 on NFL Shop. You can throw that in for a I don't know, for a napkin, towel. You can wipe your car. I don't know. You can use it for wiping your ass for all I care. But
Austin Hooper, is that who you're talking about?
Yes, thank you, Hooper.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 6'8".
John brought that up. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know he was that tall. I just know he was a white guy for Baltimore.
Thank you, John. That was going to drive me bonkers. I thought it was like a crazy last name with like 11 letters. It was just Hooper. Stranger Things. So, alrighty. Well, let's go into talk about some real football here. Iowa State.
Can I use those Deshaun Watson jerseys as a massage towel? Like, is that okay?
Oh no. Please, let's not jump into that here. But speaking of a happy ending here, Iowa State, we're going to have a happy ending in this year. The total wins right now is 6.5 here. Obviously, I'm going over. Now, the tough games right now, honestly, with how competitive the Big 12 is, and there's a lot of teams where even last year they were, I think it was Texas Tech. They had that 62-yard game-winning at the buzzer, 60-yard field goal. People are vying to beat Iowa State now. Now, last year was the dream team of ours that everyone wanted to beat, and a lot of them did. But I'd say right now the toughest games right now at Iowa, that's going to be a tough one in Iowa City. Baylor at home. Thankfully, we get Baylor at home and Oklahoma at home. Those are probably two of the toughest games we're going to play. And then, Oklahoma State, we have to play on the road in Stillwater. I guess they're a little pissed still because we ruined their national championship hopes back in 2011. So they're always going to be a tough game. And honestly, they returned so many people. And I mean, Gundy's the most experienced coach in the conference now. I mean, they're always going to be a tough out. I do think right now for Iowa State this year, and let me get it shared. I think we do go over on the wins. I think it's only going to be 7 wins, but I would say right now I think even we're projected to go. I think we're projected to go like a lot of people have us between 4th and 8th in the league. So it's kind of I would say it's right now we have the few top teams at the top: Baylor, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. But then you got Kansas State, Texas, Iowa State. Everyone is kind of in the middle. The middle is very strong. We really Kansas is kind of improving, but Kansas is the clear bottom. Texas Tech, West Virginia are down there, but even then, all of a sudden maybe West Virginia or hell, even Kansas might get 3 wins this year. But I don't know. I'm looking at the schedule right now that I got it pulled up here. Southeast Missouri, that's an easy win. Iowa, that'll be a tough out. Again, it's going to be which offense comes along. I know that the Brock, oh golly, I cannot remember his last name. The backup running back for us, Brock and Deckers, if they can get it going and we're going to have a solid offensive line, because you guys decimated us last year with that defense. Our line couldn't do fucking anything. So if we can have a solid, and again, I was a maybe and only if we can get lucky with 4. I think it was the last 5 years. Iowa's beat us in the turnover battle 9-0. You're not going to beat anyone if you have 9 turnovers to your 0. You have to force something.
Right.
So.
Right. Iowa will for sure be the toughest defense you play all year. I don't care what comes out of Norman. The Iowa will be the toughest defense you face.
It'll be interesting. Well, again, Venables, and again, he was the defensive coordinator at Clemson before. He's going to have the talent there. Oklahoma's always going to have the talent. Can you get him playing right? Christ, I bet you after watching that bowl game and the one Boomer Sooner fan that I have, I think he had a heart on that whole bowl game watching Bob Stoops, because it was like Lincoln Riley was so checked out last year. You knew something was up. He was going to USC. And that fucking team went from a team that could care less about being on that field to in that bowl game just fucking obliterating Oregon. They just
exactly.
So I bet you everyone's a little upset. They'll take Venables. They wish it was Stoops though. That's for damn sure.
Oh,
but
God,
yeah, Ohio, God, I hope an easy win. Baylor tough. Kansas should be an easy win. Kansas State is always going to be, again, that's one of those. Farmageddon's kind of. Twitter, it's always brutal on there. Kansas State and Iowa State fans are always going back and forth. But I think Farmageddon should be fun. We're 3-1, 4-0 the last 4 years. I think Breece Hall just scored another touchdown against them just now while we're talking. So, I don't know. Kansas State should be a fun one. The one thing that I guess now that we're kind of getting down here, you can look at the schedule. Texas and Oklahoma. That is one thing for Iowa State the last few years. It used to be like, 11 a.m. kickoff Texas or 11 a.m. kickoff Oklahoma. Well, I don't need to watch that. We're going to get our asses kicked. It was always a presumed, loss, and we're always, oh, shit, we have to play. Really, since we've been improved Matt Campbell in the last few years with, Oklahoma not being the playoff team that they used to be, and Texas being what they currently are, there's not really anyone that we've been playing that – you're feeling like, oh shit, we have to play them. Texas and Oklahoma, I can very well see us, winning close game. Oklahoma will be a close game. I can very well see us playing well, versus Texas. Yeah,
right.
And then going through the West, the rest of them, West Virginia, that one, this is going to be typical Iowa State fan, but those refs screwed us in that fucking game. There was a lot of questionable calls on that one, but again, shouldn't have even been that close versus West Virginia. Oklahoma State will be tough. Texas Tech, if we lose on another 62-yard field goal at the fucking buzzer, I might be hanging from my fucking rafters by the end of that. I did all that research last year. There's only been 2 times in the history of football there's been a field goal that long to win a game at the buzzer, and that was one of them. So that one, I don't expect that to happen again. And then TCU, they got a new coach. They've got new everything. I think those are going to be pretty easy. It's, I think 7-5, and then obviously get to a bowl game. Hopefully we get to 8 wins next year. Kind of keep that streak of this. Just to show you where Iowa State's history's been, Joey. This is the first time in history that Iowa State's had 5 winning seasons in a row, and we're going to push the record. We get a 6th winning season in a row. So
push the record, he says.
Yeah, we're gonna keep expanding that record. What else? Matt Campbell, 1 win. He's gonna be 2nd all time in Iowa State wins. And someone had my buddy Ryan. We have a bet we will have a bet going probably here pretty soon. In 15 wins, he'll pass McCarney for 1st all time in Iowa State's wins. And I think we're going to get to that next year for Campbell. So
that's fine. I hope they do, as long as they keep losing the Cyhawk game. I care less about the rest of the season.
We'll get a win this year. You know what? The more I'm talking about it, the happier I'm getting about Hunter Deckers. You know what? Fuck it. Hold on. I'll go full joy. 9-3 probably. We're gonna we have a couple hiccups in the middle of the year.
There it is.
No, I want to be a little more realistic. I wait until game week to be unrealistic.
So I want to do this right now. I'm going to make a Hamilton bet with you for the Cyhawk game.
Okay, done. Iowa State win by 10. By Hamilton.
I'm sure. Oh, you're going to give me 10 points? I will take that all day, son.
No.
Because if Iowa wins, it's going to be by like 4. If Iowa State wins, it'll probably be by 30. So.
Oh God, Trent just said, "Send me that link." Well, give me 1 second, folks. Well, hold on. Let me get the next subject, and we'll get Trent in here.
Yeah,
Joey,
I can go on a rant for a little bit.
Yeah, the next one, Joey, Nebraska 7.5 wins projected. How do you feel about that one, buddy?
Huck the Fuskers. I don't understand it. They are the Texas of the Big Ten. Everyone always picks them to just be amazing. Blah blah blah. I'm looking through their schedule. I could find 5 wins. I could find 5 of them. So I'll just go through it. Northwestern, they're going to lose because that's in Ireland. Wait,
you think they're going to lose in Ireland?
I can't remember if this one's in Ireland or they played that last year. Doesn't matter. They're going to lose in Northwestern. North Dakota, probably win. Whoever, Georgia Southern, I'm guessing that's who that is.
Shit.
They'll win that.
You can keep going. I'm just going to pull it up so the people watching, because we actually have a few people on right now. I'm going to pull the schedule up again.
Yeah, that's fine. You want me to share my screen?
No, you're good. I got it. Go ahead and keep
John,
rambling.
There is not a Martinez there still, so don't expect 7 interceptions this year in the Iowa game. Probably just 4, but yeah, something like that. Speaking of losers, Nebraska. We're talking Nebraska, Trent. So what's up, buddy?
I thought you were calling Trent a loser. I was going to say Jesus.
I am.
I had to get on here because Bryant started to give his predictions for Iowa State, so I figured I'd give mine now that I'm free and ready to go here. But
I know
Joey likes. Yeah. No.
I thought so.
I'm sitting window behind me. Do many bathrooms have this in it? A big window? Joey?
It honestly looks like shower curtains.
Too.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a curtain. Jeez.
Trent's pooping and podding at this point.
More power to
We'll open it. We'll open them to avoid confusion.
So, what's your projection for Iowa State here, sir?
Did you? Let's see. Southeast Missouri, Iowa, win. Ohio, win. Baylor, win. KU. I'm joking. I don't think Iowa State's going to go. I think Iowa's. I think if they can get out of the non-conference 2-1, that would be great, especially with starting. This is the first time since 2007 that Iowa State is starting a quarterback on week 1 with 0 Division I starts or something like that. So experience at quarterback might be a little rough, but people are saying Hunter Deggers is absolutely slinging it. So what did I say? 2-1. I think I don't know. So Kansas State, again, they're supposed to be better. But lately on Twitter, I'm sure Bryant has noticed, do they think that they're going to win the Big 12 this year?
Yeah. I think with Kansas State, if they're going, they have to have a perfect season. And no offense right now, because again, really Kansas State, I don't really think about too much until the week. You have Adrian Martinez right now, and Joey can attest to it. The last 3 years, he's turnover prone, and like I said, you have to be perfect if you're going to beat the Oklahoma States and the Baylors and Iowa States to get to the conference championship.
Like, do they think that he got miraculously better, say January and right now?
Well, more importantly, why would a Big 12 school ever want him? I mean, the more throws he has, the more chances that he's going to throw an interception. So why would you want him? There's more chances he's going to throw interceptions.
Chicken or egg, or I guess maybe chicken or egg is not right. Maybe I'm stupid. It was it Adrian Martinez that's turnover prone, or is it Scott Frost play calling?
Yeah. Or is it just good Iowa defense? I'm going to go with the last one.
No.
Play Iowa 12 games out of the season, so
right.
Playing some bad defenses in there too, and he wasn't good.
Right, that's true.
K-State's offensive line is supposed to be protection. He can be decent, but
yeah,
I don't see it. But I think Iowa State, I think 7-5 would be a good number because of Hunter Deckers. But like I said, like they say, he's slinging it and can make all the throws.
Nice. I hope so. And I really, honestly, I hope Iowa State is able to bounce back from all the talent that they lost in the draft, because I love it when the Cyhawk game is fun. So, yeah, I'm all for them being good as long as they lose by 3. So that's fine.
I would say it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than what people think this year. Like I said, I've heard a lot of positives, but I don't know, man. I would say it's really going to be that killer for week 1 game versus Southeast Missouri. We've had that on our chalkboard since the Cheez-It Bowl last year, so that's all we're focused on.
Speaking of that Cheez-It Bowl, did you see that DJ Ogalonga or whatever from Clemson said that he was super heavy after that bowl game, and someone put on Twitter. Yep. Well, yeah, I would too with a trophy like that. Did he eat all the Cheez-Its out of that bowl?
I did see that. But that's such an impossible situation too. I know he's a 5-star and he should have done better, but it's like, hey, we just went through the best quarterback. I mean, it's kind of what Hunter. We just went through the best quarterback in our school's history. Live up to it now. Right. I mean, that's what as much as people shit on Brock Purdy. He has 31 school records. He's the best quarterback. You can make your arguments about Seneca, but Seneca was turnover prone as well.
Right.
Purdy was the best quarterback in Iowa State history. It's. I don't know. Like you said, it's going to be. It reminds me with Brock. It reminded me when I was watching the Chiefs with Alex Smith the last few years. He just he went from a gunslinger to slowly just start checking down and being safe, and that wasn't the Brock Purdy that won all those games his freshman sophomore year. So I don't know. Maybe Hunter Deckers can be our Mahomes and really start rejuvenate the offense there.
I was listening to the CW and Bloom podcast, Cyclone Fanatic, and they talk Purdy. It's like over the last, he kind of almost regressed, but they don't know if just his experience, he was overthinking things now, and just slinging it, like he did his first couple of years. So, Hunter Deckers is that, he doesn't have all that experience, so just in it.
Yeah, that will be the toughest thing. So we'll kind of, when we gauged it versus you and I week 1, we kind of felt like, oh shit, this isn't what the team that we're supposed to have last year. That first game will be a good indicator on where we're at next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, shit. If you guys win the national championship, Campbell could tie McCartney.
Oh, well, that's the goal. Playoff and national championship or bust. Otherwise, it was a failed season.
Exactly.
Well, Trent, while we got you on, let's go back to shitting on Nebraska there, Joey. You want to continue on with your rant on how much you think they're going to lose in Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, I just honestly, I don't see them beating Northwestern. I don't see them. They're going to win North Dakota, Georgia Southern. Wait, that's Nebraska. They play OU this year.
Yeah, they play OU at home.
Oh God, I don't want to watch that game. That is going to be a fucking shit stomp. OU might win that one by 70 points. Yeah, and
Venables
then
in a new quarterback and new system. You think it's going to be that easy?
fuck yeah, I don't think Nebraska's good. Like I haven't thought they've been good under Scott Frost at all. They just have no
If anyone's
discipline.
talking to you for 5 minutes, Joey, they know you don't think Nebraska's good for sure.
Well, and it's not even so much that like when they had who was their coach before Scott Frost? The one that got
Bo Pelini.
Bo Pelini. Like I mean, they were winning 10, 11 games a season. I honestly, every time we played them, it was a dogfight, and they were good. They were good, disciplined teams. They didn't have quite the talent that they've been bringing in with Scott Frost, but the Scott Frost teams just are undisciplined as hell. And their defensive line, after getting pounded, by the Big Ten defenses for 5-6 games, they look like they give up after every quarter. If I'm a Nebraska fan, I don't believe in Scott Frost whatsoever. And I am wanting and hoping and wishing that he was gone last year. But hopefully this is his last year for them. As a Big Ten power, I want Nebraska to be good. Obviously, I want Iowa to beat them every year, but I want them to be good so that there's national prominence around them again because it brings more prestige to our conference. I don't want to shit on Nebraska. I love to shit on Nebraska, but it's not something that I just like wake up and like, oh yeah, time to shit on Nebraska. Like if they're good, they're good. I'm not going to say that they're not. It's yeah.
Joey,
I want
you.
Go ahead.
You wake up in your bed and you pull an Amber Heard ready for Nebraska. You just shit all over it. All right? Come on.
My Cornhuskers just ready to go, and I'm just like, fuck Nebraska.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of.
Reflection.
But yeah, I seriously think they win North Dakota, Georgia Southern, Rutgers, Illinois, and probably I almost said Michigan. Jesus, probably Minnesota or Purdue. One of those two. Those are the 5 games I can see them winning. I think they get beat by Northwestern. I think Northwestern will be ready to roll week 1. Oklahoma's going to shit stomp them. I think Indiana outruns them, and then Purdue, Illinois, one of those two is going to beat them, and then Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa is just going to run right over them. So I just think 5 wins is the most I can give them, to be honest with you.
Why do they play a conference game in August? Their first.
Because it's an Ireland game.
Oh, it's in Ireland?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Download into. Fuck, why is this not 2021?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to get everyone's seeing me having my IT struggles fucking trying to pull up the schedule here. You think Indiana, this is why I want to pull up, you think they don't beat Indiana, who went 2-10 last year? You don't think they beat Northwestern, who went 3-9 last year?
I mean, Northwestern and Indiana both competed in all their games. Granted, yes, Nebraska lost every game by single digits.
One
I
possession.
get that. But I just don't see them beating either one of those because I think Northwestern is going to go over to Ireland and be ready to roll. Fitzgerald is just that's his home. That's where he needs to be, is Ireland. So Northwestern should just play over there all the time. But I think Indiana just outruns them. I bet they make it a track meet with their running on offense, and Nebraska can't keep up.
Mm-hmm. I don't like that.
That's my thoughts.
Just your thoughts, huh? Yeah, just I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that easy. I'm going to give Nebraska a little bit more credit. I think Scott Frost, with him, negotiating down, getting paid less this year, he's definitely thinking at this point, he wants to. I don't know. You've kind of, you back someone in the corner. The only thing they can do is go out. I don't know. I think he proved something this year. I don't know. maybe I have a soft spot for Nebraska. They've been down too long the last few years. I think they're on the up and coming here.
I think it's been too long since Iowa State played Nebraska. If you guys played them and got to hear their fans, you would be on the same boat as me. So,
Trent.
So if I wasn't on call, I would go to Larchwood and put money on the under for that 7.
So hold on.
So
let me get their schedule pulled back up. Yeah, I would say
what kind of number are you looking at then, Trent?
Nebraska?
Yeah.
Years 5 wins.
Yeah.
I like your number.
Yeah.
That's under 7.
And I'm even giving them the benefit of the doubt that they beat Minnesota because of all the PJ Fleck shit that's come out. Yeah, I could see Minnesota beating them too. So
what's coming out about PJ Fleck?
He's got current players saying that he's a narcissist and everything's all about him, and the way that he projects to the media is completely different and just puts down his players and staff and everything else. And so it's one of the most hostile environments they've ever been in.
So he's Urban Happy Valley locker room then. Never mind. They didn't attend the second mile camp, so I guess they wouldn't understand that one. But I don't know. I think you kind of have to have a little bit of those qualities. Maybe he exerts a little bit more. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see more of those rumors. That is so weird that the PJ Fleck. I guess I've never heard of that. I guess I'm out of the Big Ten circles there.
Yeah, I mean it was on Twitter I think last week. So
who would have ever thought a guy who just created a boat thing would bring it from wherever he was, Central Michigan or wherever, to continue beating that and put it on their helmets and put it on all that crap would be a narcissist. Who would ever think that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Look at how good my idea is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta sell those shirts. If you're only a true Gopher fan, if you have a shirt that says "Row the Boat," just like probably 8 to 10 years ago, you'd only be a true fan of Iowa State if you had the shirt that said "So Proud" from Paul Rhodes. That's how you tell the true.
Yes, hell yes. Oh my God, I'm so proud.
God, that got me so fucking hyped in college every single time. I'm so proud to be your coach. Whew! Goddamn.
Hell yeah, man.
It's so funny. Will Compton did an interview, I think it was with Part of My Take, about a month or so ago, and hearing him recount the story about how God, we were supposed to be so good that year in Nebraska, and we had Ndamukong Suh, who should have won the Heisman. I think we all our consensus agree with that. But him reminiscing about it, he's like, dude, then we would play so well on defense, and then we'd play in Iowa State where we had 8 turnovers. First off, it was 9 turnovers, but he's like, then we'd have 8 turnovers, and we fumbled every time we were within the 5-yard line, and just remembering that fucking 9-7 game. Again, that was back then when Nebraska was dominant. I didn't wake up for the 11 o'clock kickoff. Why the fuck would I watch us lose? And all of a sudden it's, oh fuck, it was comically like people were coming. It's like, dude, Nebraska's turned the ball 4 times. Oh, turned it over 4 times. Oh, cool. I guess we have a shot. It's still 7-3 or whatever. And it's like they've turned it over 6 times, and all of a sudden you turn it on, and they turn it over 3 more fucking times, and we win the closest, shittiest game that you could have. It was a, and I think the Iowa State or the Ames Tribune or Omaha Herald or whatever, it was like Paul Rhodes wields the hammer of awesomeness. People bought that paper, none other, and were posting it all over our dorms my freshman year. That was yeah. Paul Rhodes was an idol for a few years until
Molnir.
Until we didn't have any more 6-6 win seasons. Then all of a sudden we were pissed about him.
Man, who were you more pissed about, him or the fuck was his face that went to Auburn?
Gene Chizik.
Gene Chizik, cheese dick. God,
you know
yes.
what? To be honest,
snake. He was such a fraud.
We don't have the good Paul Rhodes years without Gene Chizik's recruits, though. Let's be very honest.
It's true.
AJ Klein, Jake Knott. I was about to say Luke Knott, but that was his younger brother. I would say he brought in some solid people to at least have a couple winning seasons. But yeah, fucking.
Chiswick was
Why
the
would he want to go to
fastest.
a?
It wasn't he the fastest D1 head coach to be fired after winning a national championship?
Before Ed Ogeron?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would have been
how-
before.
I think it was like two seasons later he was fired at Auburn.
So yeah, it was before Ed. But yeah, I remember that being a thing that he won with Cam, and then they just imploded, and they didn't do shit after that.
Mm-hmm.
One with Cam, and I can't believe Cecil somehow out of nowhere had $100,000 deposited into his bank account that season. Coincidentally, right before his son chose. Who would have thunk?
Yep. Yeah, because what's it, Cadillac Williams? Was he still there? Was that them?
Ronnie Brown, Cadillac
Yeah,
Williams.
Cadillac Williams.
No, that was the undefeated year. That was the year where they were third at 13-0 behind.
Fuck, I can't.
USC and Oklahoma.
Just saying old college football names. Like today, I heard Ron Dane brought up, and then I was thinking of Lawrence Mulraney or whatever from Minnesota, the doublehead monster they had, and just like talking college football running backs and like old names. God, just gets my blood flowing. Can't fucking wait for the season, man. God, it's gonna be awesome.
Dude, again, that's what I love about college football because again, pro sports, we can talk about NFL day too. There's just something special about like you said. All of a sudden, you're remembering the one fucking Steele Jance. He's a goddamn legend at Iowa State. He did nothing. Like he beat UConn. I mean, fucking who gives? You know what I'm saying? Like nothing of prominence, but you remember those names.
Yep. So Trent, before your iPad dies and you get out of here. Hamilton bet, Cyhawk game. Me and you want in?
This one.
What's that?
You giving any points on this one?
No. Bryant tried to give me 10.
Oh, that's confident.
No.
Holy crap.
I was just saying we were going to win by 10.
Okay.
Jokingly.
I'll take it.
Okay. Sweet. And then also
right.
UFC 279. You want to join in on a podcast next week?
Pencil me in.
Okay, cool.
He's a soft yes.
Yep. I just want to make sure we got that business taken care of before your iPad died.
Yeah.
We definitely can't text him afterwards or anything.
No.
You know,
No.
we have to waste our audience's time talking about our schedules.
The audience is going to want. Is Trent going to be on the UFC podcast about?
It's just another reminder that there'll be a UFC podcast next week for UFC 279. And then also a reminder that Trent and I have $10 on the Iowa State game.
God, can't believe you're already going to be $20 in debt. Season hasn't even started, Joey. You're already going to lose 20. What are you, milking a cow over there?
Yep. Titties.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. So, I don't know. Trent, I'd say before your iPad died, any other last thoughts that you have to get in here? Anything you want to say?
College football to start. That's all I have to say. I'm ready.
Yes, sir. How many days until the season start? August 27th?
I got 44 for yeah. Yep.
40? How is it
44
days?
until Iowa State and Iowa play their.
I got you.
I'm sure there's games early. I mean, there's games early. This is when Nebraska and Northwestern plays. So 6 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 36 days. Well, they'll be playing what they call football. It ain't Big 12 football, but it's football, I guess.
I'm out of here.
But all right. Well, I would say if you guys got nothing else, I would say we'll go ahead and wrap it up because we could fucking talk for hours at this point.
Oh God, yeah.
I would say I do appreciate.
Well,
I would say we've been having. What's that?
I was gonna say if they're gonna play in Ireland, they are used to it, so might as well have a Big Ten over there.
You cut off the punchline. You've kind of been cutting in and out, bud.
They said they might as well have a 3-2 football game in Big Ten football. Well, that's why they brought him over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like soccer.
Fucking soccer. Yeah, exactly. Their football.
3-2.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now, the American dollar is worth more than the euro, so I think we get dictated. It's called soccer now. It is not football, whatever you want to call it.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up here so we can keep it under a
Mhm.
cool 90 minutes here. But do appreciate everyone joining in. I appreciate everyone that's been kind of chatting back and forth on YouTube. And say while
Yeah.
we've been posting it live, kind of fun getting back and forth. John filling us in on the Hooper controversy. God, I would have been not able to sleep at night not knowing that one. So, but yeah, I would say, Joe, you want to give us the socials real quick?
Yeah, as always, hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at Heartland Pulse, and then Facebook and YouTube. Just search Pulse of the Heartland. We'll be on all of your major streaming platforms once we get this all published and put together. And then you, look for our announcements for when, like I said, the UFC podcast. When we come back for season 2, we'll have a couple big. I know we'll have big football preview podcasts for NFL and NCAA. So, yeah, be ready to roll for football season. We'll be hot and heavy and probably putting out a few episodes a week. We're going to change up our format a little bit, I think, this year. So, yeah, we'll have all that stuff announced on the first podcast.
Hell yeah. Any shit talk you want to say about Trent now that he's logged off?
Nah. You can never shit talk a ginger behind their back.
All right,
you never
dude.
know when they're just standing behind you.
I'm a fellow redhead, so I would have told him immediately. So you passed the test. So
exactly. Nah, man. I'm looking forward to getting back on the airwaves with everybody, and just as always, just can't wait for football season.
Absolutely, dude. Well, hopefully we can get some more. Like I said, I think once Yormark gets into office on August 1st, I think that's when a lot of stuff's going to really start falling into place. These rumors are going to start either becoming fact or fiction, and then we can kind of jump in and discuss as well. Shit on Nebraska a little bit more. I can get hyped about, Iowa State beating Iowa. That's what's going to happen. But
Nope.
All right, everyone. I do appreciate you tuning in, listening. If you're listening to the pod, I appreciate you. Appreciate you listening. So. Have a good night.
Spread the good news. Let your friends know. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.